Hi, this is Joey O'Neill from Sound Systems Incorporated out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And today we're over at High Point Baptist Church in Conway, a church that we did a previous sound system installation actually about 20 years ago. And some of this equipment is still in-house, but we have decided, the church has decided that it's time to upgrade the mixer. After discussions, the church decided to go with a digital mixer that would have recall and presets to make it easy for quick changes and consistency. So what we have done is we removed the old Mackie 16-channel analog mixer and installed the Behringer X32 producer. The church doesn't have many requirements as far as inputs, so we're using approximately, well, there's 16 channels on this mixer, but we're using not quite all of them at this point. Just to give you a brief run through, I'm not sure if we can see it in the video, but there are 3 wirelesses. There's an older Shure TX series, then there's a Sennheiser unit that's actually in the 700 megahertz, which we shouldn't be using, and then there's an Audio-Technica microphone. The top Shure is Pastor's lavalier that I've got currently in channel 16. The Sennheiser, I've labeled it as wireless number 1. It's in channel 14, and then wireless number 2 is the Audio-Technica, and these handhelds have labels accordingly. The neat thing about this particular mixer is we can do 2 things. This can be set up as channels 1 through 8 and 9 through 16, and if that happens, there are 2 green buttons over here. And for example, if I push channels 1 through 8, then obviously these channels become 1 through 8. These become not used as far as the inputs. If I push this button here, this says 9 through 16 underneath it, then these channels become 9 through 16. But I've purposely set this mixer up so we could push both buttons simultaneously, and when we do, it becomes channels 1 through 16, which makes it easier to operate and easier to navigate when you're trying to start and stop tapes and CDs, stuff like that. I have the mixer labeled as channel number 1 is pulpit. Channel number 2 didn't have a label on the other mixer, so I just activated it. Channel number 3 is actually a handheld microphone just to the left of the pulpit on stage. Channel 6 are the 2 choir mics combined together, and they're doing everything the same, so there's no use in burning up 2 channels on it. We just increase the gain on the channel itself. Channels, which will be 9, 10, 11, currently have nothing in them. Our CD playback is set up in 12 and 13. Then we have wirelesses in 14, 15, 16, like we said previously. Then the fader to the far right is our master volume control. The biggest difference in the digital mixer as opposed to the analog Mackie mixer is that you have to select what channel you would like to make any adjustments to. And once you do that, the mixer becomes autonomous to the particular selection. For example, I have a CD playing, one of the church's CDs playing in channels, I think it's 13 and 14. I'm sorry, 12 and 13 is what they're in. So if I unmute, well, first of all, these are the sliders which would increase or decrease the level of sound coming out of the main sanctuary speaker. Right above that we have a button that you may can see that is red, and it's called a mute switch. Right above that is a solo button that would let us hear through headphones. There's a headphone output here. We'll get to that later. And then up here is the select button, and the select button allows me to do particular things to that particular channel, no matter what it was. So for now, I'm going to unmute, put on a little softer song, and as you can see, I can increase or decrease the level of this playback CD unit in the house system. I'm not going to turn it up real loud so we don't have to talk over the top of it. But with that, I can come over here and I can mute it. It goes away. I can solo it if I want to listen through headphones. And then I'm going to hit select. Once I hit the select button, I get a green LED light. Now, the mixer is set up, pull this back a little bit more. The select button is set up to where now any adjustments I make all over the console affect only that particular channel. Over to my far right side I have my gain control, which is the preamp. I have a low cut filter, which takes low frequencies, rumbles, roars, gets rid of that type of thing that I can add to it. I could add a compressor or a limiter or a gate. I could push this button and now I can adjust the equalizer, highs, high mids, and lows. And the cool thing about this mixer is my display screen can change accordingly. So for example, if I'd like to see what the EQ setting on my CD was playing, I can hit the view button, which is this guy right here, and I get a real-time analyzer happening on my screen. Plus I see my EQ curve. I added a little bass, a little bit of treble to it just for demonstration purposes. And the view button is very nice because it lets me go to each individual channel and hit and add or take away or do what I'd like to do with the equalizer. For example, over here, channel number 1 is the pulpit microphone. I can unmute the pulpit microphone, select it, and if I come over here to my view switch, I can see the equalizer setting. I get a real-time visual of what the equalizer setting is for my pulpit microphone. Now, once I select that particular channel, then like I said, all the screens and all the displays will change accordingly to what particular EQ I have set for those devices. The nice thing about the Behringer is I get a real-time analyzer. So if I have somebody speaking on a microphone, or if I have a condenser microphone, a choir microphone, a pulpit microphone, and I'm getting a little bit of ring or a little modulation, a little bit of feedback, the nice thing about this is I get a indication of what frequency that is. And this mixer allows me to come over here to my settings and select the frequency and then decrease the gain. So I don't have to go through and guess what frequencies are giving me problems, or it sounds like it's in a barrel, or all these descriptions we hear from a lot of people, or sounds like it's way far away, or those type of things. So if you can see the little dancing blue RTAs on there, that's really nice, because you can turn a microphone up to the point where you get some feedback trouble and then find that particular frequency and then get rid of it. So the church also uses for playback a computer system which is behind me. I'm not going to show it, but they play DVDs with words on the projector for the congregation to sing. Instead of using up more channels, what I did is I brought the CD, DVD, and computer over to this little section here called auxiliary. There's an auxiliary input level. So look what happens when I push this button. All the other channels go away, and I now have 2 channels that are controlling the output of the computer. So if I have a song playing, so therefore if I wanted to play something from the computer, DVD or software, worship software, that currently is plugged into auxiliary 1 and 2. And I access that by hitting this green button, and then it lets me adjust the faders however I would like, come up here to the select button, change the EQ, do anything I'd like to do with that. Now, here's the trick. If my DVD or music is over and the song is over and I'd like to go back and make an adjustment to my channels, I can do that, but I have to make sure that I have turned off or muted whatever the auxiliary is. So right now I'm going to mute the computer system and go back to my regular system, and you see these lights change because they're indicators only of what particular section of the mixer we're selecting. Now, there are other outputs that the church uses. For example, they have a couple stage monitors up by the pulpit. There's a couple monitors up by the choir. They also send a signal out to the fellowship hall, and then they also have actually a dial-up phone service where people can dial a number and listen to the worship service. So most important is trying to figure out how to control stage monitors, and that in this particular mixer is called a bus. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on my my CD player. I have music playing. So the question the biggest question that will come up, how can I get my music to play through my stage monitors? In this setup, here's what we'll do. First of all, we'll select the CD play channel, and then, hopefully we can see it on this description, there's a button right here that says View, Bus Send View, and I'm going to put a label underneath it that says Monitors. When we push that, I have indications, LED indications across the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way over to 16. Now this particular mixer only has 6 outputs. We're using 4. Output number 1 goes to the stage monitor, output number 2 goes to the choir monitor, output 3 goes to the fellowship hall, and output 4 goes to the phone system. So for example, I would like to play my music and I would like to send it to the stage monitors. This is my CD player. I hit select, and my stage monitor, I have a label on the back side. I'm not sure if we can see it on the video, but if I wanted to have this music go to my stage monitor, I turn button knob number 1, and now I have music playing through my stage monitor. If I want to take it back out, I can do this like that. If I turn up knob number 2, it goes to my choir monitor, which are a couple little hot spots up in the choir loft. That's my choir monitors. Number 3 is currently on and it's going to the fellowship hall, and number 4 is also on and it's going to the phone system. I have no way of demonstrating that now, but I have a good LED indication telling me what's happening. So now, let's say that I have a handheld wireless microphone and someone's going to stand up there and sing. I have an Audio Technica mic. I'm going to turn this particular one on. Check test 1, 2. This is wireless number 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute our music. Testing 1, 2. Mute that. Test 1, 2 to make sure I'm on the right thing. I have an LED light telling me that I'm speaking on this microphone. Hey, hey, hey. And the LED light, of course, works with what levels we're putting into the microphone. So I'm going to unmute wireless number 1. And for demonstration purposes, again, I'm going to turn the volume down in the house. This affects the house only. I'm going to push the button that says Bus Send View. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my voice and I'd like to add it to the stage monitors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I'm sorry. You see what I did? I wasn't even paying attention to what I was doing because my select button was set up for the CD player. So what I just did was I just turned the CD player wide open in the monitors, and that's the catch for these mixers. It still catches me occasionally. So for example, I'm going to go to wireless 2 because I want to control wireless 2 going to the stage monitors. So I select the microphone I'm speaking on, come over here, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm speaking through the stage monitors on stage. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to turn that off, number 1, go to number 2, and now I can speak through the choir monitors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now my microphone is being controlled through the choir monitors. 1, 2, 3. If I turn this particular up, hey, 1, 2, 3, my voice will be coming out the fellowship hall, and if I turn this up here, then my voice will be coming out of into the phone system. So for example, the phone system, I may just want to put the pulpit microphone, maybe some of the choir microphones, and pastor's mic, and a couple of wirelesses, just to keep everything simple, particularly with a phone, an actual wire telephone. Okay, that is the quick general overview. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot a couple things. There's a cable that comes out of the headphone that we may or may not be able to see at this point. The church has a what they call a modulated signal. We've got a small security type camera mounted in the sanctuary, and it sends the camera image over to the nursery so people can see what's going on in the sanctuary. Because of the outputs, and to set it up as similar as the previous mixer was, as to not to confuse a lot of people, we went ahead and used the headphone out of this mixer, sending it to the little modulator which sends sound to the nursery. That phone control is right here. It says phone level, and I have a label back there that says nursery, just to give us an idea that that's what sends sound to the nursery. And also there's another level control right here. It says monitor output. I have a label back behind it, and that monitor output is the level control that goes up to a CD recorder that's on a shelf right above this that we can't see in this demonstration. So to recap, monitor level sends to the recording CD, nursery sends sound to the nursery, auxiliary 1 sends sound to the stage, auxiliary 2 goes to the choir, auxiliary 3 to the fellowship hall, and auxiliary 4 to the phone service. And we can dial up individually what we would like to go to those particular areas. I've just done a basic setting at this point. But this gives us a general overview of how to get the system up and running, what's going on with it, and this gets us a starting point so that way if the church needs to change anything, we can do it at that point. But I just wanted to give us a basic setup and overview of the system. I'm Joey O'Neill from Sound Systems Incorporated in Myrtle Beach, and I can be reached at 843-602-5883. Thank you.